At Gold Hill, we are going through each book of the Old Testament in turn. As we do so, we're putting together the big picture of the Bible's story and finding what God's great purpose for our world is. If you want to see all of what we've put together for this series, go to goldhill.org/GGP. This week, we are going to be looking at 2 Kings, and all the information for it can be found at goldhill.org/2 Kings. The book of 2 Kings follows the history of Israel as the nation is divided and 2 kingdoms go into exile. It is one of the darkest times in the history and life of God's people, as both halves of the kingdom in turn are overtaken and the people lose their freedom. Israel in 722 BC taken captive by the Assyrians, and Judah in 605 BC taken captive by the Babylonians. Despite repeated warnings from God, Israel and Judah took God's protection and care for granted and fell guilty of presumption. They never thought they would be taken into exile. After all, God had promised them that he would be faithful to them, hadn't he? Surely that would mean they would be safe. They didn't think God would ever let harm come to them, but they were wrong. Our actions always have consequences, and the disregard of God's instructions resulted in their loss of liberty, joy, and intimacy with God. God didn't just decide to give them up into exile because he wanted to. He gave them plenty of warning time and time again, but they didn't listen and didn't turn back to him. In a sense, it was them that exiled God from their lives and their nation. All God did was let them have what they wanted. Through exiling God and pursuing their own ways, the people in turn became exiles themselves. If we live our own Christian lives faithfully, we would choose to go God's way. However, when we fall short of this, we too can lose an intimacy and closeness with our Saviour. Yet, like the Israelites who continued to get it wrong, we do not lose a relationship with God. He still loves us, just as he still loved his nation, but selfish endeavours damage a closeness between humankind and our Father. He is always ready for us to turn back to him. When we come to know him, nothing will remove that relationship, but we do have a responsibility to live in that relationship, to stay close to the one who called us, the one who loves us. There are difficult consequences if we choose not to, but beautiful and joyful consequences if we do. So join us this Sunday, either in person or online, as we explore similar ideas. Am I walking my own way? And am I taking his protection and love for granted?